Good morning, everyone. I pray that your Tuesday was a good day, that you found spaces and places where you could have joy, where you could feel peace, where you could laugh, where you could meditate, where you could just enjoy the beauty that surrounds us if we only pay attention. You noticed that when I was beginning to say good morning, I had to pause because I really wasn't sure what day it is. But I'm going to give a shout out to my son, my oldest, because today is his birthday. So happy birthday. We have been talking about anger, and we've been talking about anger turned inward and how debilitating that can be, which we have also talked about how when you continually take the anger that you feel about external things, but you focus inward, it can create depression within us. Not necessarily clinical depression, but depression nonetheless. When we blame ourselves for everything that happens, when we're constantly saying, I'm sorry, even when we're not at fault, when we don't speak our mind, but just allow people to say or treat us in manners that really are not appropriate, we don't try to clarify things, we just internalize it and begin to believe the mistruths that people have put upon us. I want to focus today's conversation on some things we can do to heal through that. I was listening to or participating in a class, a webinar, and it was about self-care. And one of the things it talked about is post-healing, post-traumatic healing. And I really like that phrase. How do we heal? After we have been involved in a trauma, how do we heal? So post-traumatic healing. Now, what I'm going to suggest is actually good for anyone, but it's who has sustained a trauma or who may find themselves with their emotions all over the place, possibly because of social distancing, COVID-19, losing loved ones, whatever your situation, this is an excellent tool that you can use. And that tool is journaling. I'm bringing it up for anger turned inward because particularly for people who do that, you find that you're not allowing yourself to actually express yourself. You're not allowing yourself to feel what you feel. You're not allowing yourself to give voice to your thoughts. And so you may be doing that because it may not feel safe. Maybe in your home of origin, that if you spoke up, you got in trouble. Some of us lived under the rubric of children should be seen and not heard. And we thoroughly believe that, and we've carried that into our adult life. And now it is exacted a powerful price on us. But journaling is a great tool that you can use. Journaling, it allows you to write your thoughts. And journaling does not have to be done just in words. You can journal with pictures. Some people are much more artistic and express themselves in that particular way. The whole point of journaling is being able to get your thoughts out and from inside of you to be able to claim your voice and remove it from just staying inside of you. Now, what a lot of people will say to me is, well, how do I begin journaling? I don't know what to say. Well, that's actually a good place to start. You can start with, this is day one of my journaling and I have no idea what to say. I guarantee if you start there, something else will come up and you will continue to write. The content of what you're writing is not as important as the fact that you're writing. And you may say, well, maybe all I'm going to write is just bad thoughts. But trust me, once we begin to write, we actually move outside of our head and we begin to connect our head with our innermost thoughts, our innermost desires, our innermost dreams. We begin to write without that inner critic jumping in and challenging our thoughts. We all have inner critics. We all have that little thing inside of our head that says, don't even try it, you're going to fail. Or you know you're not good at that. Or nobody wants to hear that. But when we begin to journal, when we begin to write, we quiet and shut down that inner critic. We begin the process of making that inner critic take up less space and allowing our true selves to emerge. One of the things that was suggested in the webinar I was listening to this morning was something I have talked about and that I share on my page on a daily basis, is writing things that you're grateful for. But she had a different spin. And I want to suggest that to you. And I'm going to suggest it in a couple of ways. Her example was in the evening before you go to sleep is to write down 3 things that you experienced during the day that you were grateful for and why. And it's important to add the and why. Why are you grateful for that? Well, if I ask people, what are you grateful for? They can immediately, a lot of times, just roll off the tongue 3 things. But if we say 3 things you are grateful for that you encountered today, that forces us to be present focused. It's a little bit more specific. And then it takes it to another level of introspection when we say, and why. I'll give you an example. I took a walk this morning, and as I was walking, and I live, it's not really the suburbs, but it's not also the city. If you live in the Washington, D.C. area, I live inside the Beltway. And that may not mean much to the rest of you, but I live inside the Beltway. And as I was walking, I saw ahead of me 2 deer. And they were walking kind of diagonal, well, counter corner this way towards me, to where I was walking. And they got up to the street, and it was a relatively busy street. And I watched them kind of look to see if cars were coming before they made the decision to cross the street. And I was very grateful that their animal instincts allowed them to look both ways. But then as they got ready to cross, they heard something and they stopped. And then I was still walking, and they turned and they noticed me. And as soon as they noticed me, they looked at each other and they ran in the opposite direction back from where they had come. And I was very, very grateful that these animals, even though they are displaced, even though they are not living in a natural environment for themselves, that they were able to use their good instinct to keep themselves safe. And it was important to me because I think a lot of times we don't use our own healthy instincts. But when we do, it usually always helps us to make the best choice. Maybe not it helps us to make a positive choice. It helps us to make a choice that has helped us to remain safe, that has helped us to have integrity in our lives, that has helped us to feel good about ourselves. And as I walked past the space where they ran back to, I actually was looking to see where they were going, but all I could see was a lot of trees and maybe the beginnings of some woods. And so that's my example of when you list something that you're grateful for that occurred in this day, and also noting why. I want to add another thing you can journal about, and this was a little different take on it. In addition to the things you were grateful for and why, you can write down things I wish I had said today and why I didn't. Things I wished I had said today and why I didn't. And that's really important. And you can do this at any time during the day. You don't have to wait until the evening. You can do it immediately. Let's say you just had an encounter with someone and they said something that really kind of had you feel in some kind of way, but you didn't say anything. You can pull out your journal when you get to your journal and write down what just happened, what you're feeling, and why you did not express yourself. So I'm going to leave that with you because it's important to be able to reclaim our voice. It's important to be able to validate that our feelings are fact. They may not always be exactly the only opinion, but they do matter. And so I will leave you with that, that you do matter, that you are worthy, that what you have to say is important. And I encourage you to trust your instincts, to trust that inner voice, to trust that gut feeling on purpose. Love you, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.